Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're looking at a huge topic, something that sparks endless debate online.
Oh, yeah.
Mobile gaming versus PC gaming. But we're going past just, which one's better. We're looking at the hardware, the accessories.
The actual engineering behind the setups. And it's a critical distinction. The sources you've brought in lay it out really well. Mobile's all about convenience, right? Touch, precision.
Right, grab and go.
But PC and laptop gaming, that's a whole different world. It demands really effective cooling, rock-solid stability, and just surgical input accuracy.
Exactly. So what we have is basically a practical guide for players at any level, and it's helping us figure out where your money is actually best spent.
Right.
This deep dive is all about getting those quick performance gains.
Yeah, our mission today is super focused. We're cutting through the marketing hype, all the flashy lights, to find out which accessories give you the biggest, quickest, real-world improvement.
For your actual gameplay.
And your comfort. It's a shortcut to getting better, whether you're clicking a mouse or tapping on a glass screen.
Okay, let's unpack this. And I think we have to start with the single greatest threat to smooth performance on any platform. Heat. It is the universal enemy of fluid gameplay.
It absolutely is.
Yeah.
And heat matters because it forces the device to protect itself. For a smartphone user, that means something called throttling.
Right, throttling. Walk us through that.
So the processor gets too hot, and to cool down, it intentionally slows itself down. So you're in the middle of a game, you've got a smooth 60 frames per second, and then bam.
It just craters.
Suddenly you're down to a laggy 30. It's a terrible experience.
And on laptops, it's pretty much the same story, but we call it FPS drops.
Exactly. Frames per second drops. The game stutters. It might even freeze for a second, always at the worst possible moment.
And with a desktop, you might not see the performance dip as much, but you will definitely hear it. You hear those fans just screaming to keep up.
Oh, for sure. So let's start with the laptop user, because they're in probably the toughest spot thermally.
Yeah.
For them, a good cooling pad isn't a luxury. It's pretty much a must-have. Our sources show a good one can drop core temps by several degrees.
And that actually translates to better performance. It's not just a gimmick.
No, it's a direct translation into stability and higher fluidity, especially in those long, intense gaming sessions.
Okay, so how does it actually work? How does a slab of plastic with some fans make such a big difference?
Well, its main job is just to increase airflow underneath the laptop. Most gaming laptops pull their cool air in from the bottom.
Where they're usually sitting flat on a desk.
Exactly. Or even worse, on your lap or a carpet, just crapping all that hot air. The pad lifts the machine up, and its fans actively push that hot air away.
So if you're out shopping for one, what are the key features to look for? What does the source say?
You want to look at maximum airflow, first and foremost, then the strength of the fans, their size, and how many there are.
And how they're powered, I imagine.
Right. Some use a USB port from the laptop. Others have their own power source, which is usually better. You want to try and match the pad's fan layout to where your laptop gets hottest.
And the sources mention a couple of different types, right? The performance ones with fans, and then these other ones. Fanless ergonomic pads.
Yeah, the fanless ones are more about comfort. They just prop the screen up, give you a better typing angle. It's all about posture, which is important for long sessions, gaming, or work.
But for pure performance.
You want the fans, you want the muscle. A lot of them now come with RGB lighting to match your setup, and some even have an integrated USB hub.
Oh, that's actually really useful.
It's super useful, especially with how few ports you get on modern thin laptops.
Okay, so let's move over to desktop PCs. The cooling challenge there is completely different. You're not worried about a hot surface. You're managing the heat inside a big metal box.
That's the core difference.
Yeah.
We're moving from external pads to internal airflow, and that starts with case fans.
Big ones. 80, 120, I've even seen 200 millimeter fans.
And there's a good reason to go for the biggest fan you can fit.
It's not just about moving more air.
Well, it is, but it's also about noise and efficiency. A big 140 or 200 mil fan can move the same amount of air as a smaller one, but it does it while spinning much, much slower.
So slower RPMs mean less noise.
Way less noise.
Yeah.
And that's huge for comfort and just being able to focus when you're playing.
Then you get into the really serious stuff. Dedicated coolers for the CPU, like those big tank coolers
From Endorphi or Be Quiet or the gold standard Noctua.
And then the top tier, which is AIO liquid cooling.
AIO, all in one.
Right. It's a sealed,
Maintenance-free water cooling loop. It uses liquid to pull heat directly off the CPU, pumps into a big radiator,
like a 240 millimeter one.
and then your case fans cool the liquid down. It's just incredibly efficient. Often gives you better and more stable temps than even the
points out this one critical detail that so many people get wrong. The absolute foundation of good cooling.
Thermal paste.
Thermal paste.
This is the single detail so many builders miss. You could have the biggest cooler in the world, but if your thermal paste is bad or applied wrong, it doesn't matter.
Because that's the actual connection
Right.
between the chip and the cooler.
It bridges that tiny microscopic gap. And a premium paste, like from Noctua or Thermal Grizzly, makes a massive difference in how well that heat transfers. It's the easiest fix that can shave degrees off your temps instantly.
Absolutely. Okay, moving on from keeping things cool, let's talk about how we actually interact with the game, the input devices.
Yeah.
For PC and laptop gaming, the difference between winning and losing can be a single millisecond.
Pinpoint precision is everything. For mice, the guide we're looking at boils it down to 4 key things. First, you need a high-quality, precise sensor.
Okay.
Second, the reaction time, or latency, has to be almost 0. We're talking sub 1 millisecond response for any serious gaming mouse.
And tied into that precision is DPI, right? Dots per inch. What's the key takeaway there?
So DPI is just sensitivity.
Yeah.
A higher number means the cursor moves more with less physical movement. But the real insight isn't having a crazy high number, it's being able to adjust it on the fly.
Ah, with those little buttons on the mouse.
Exactly. You might want a super low 400 DPI for careful aiming with a sniper, but then instantly jump to 1600 for frantic, close quarters combat.
The other 2 elements are physical. The shape has to match your grip style.
Palm, claw, or fingertip grip, yeah.
And then there's the whole debate about weight.
And this is a really interesting split. Lighter mice, sometimes they even have holes in them to cut weight, are for fast-paced FPS games. Games where you need to do these big, quick wrist flicks.
Right.
But heavier mice give you more stability and control, and that's often better for strategy games or MMOs where you need slow, steady tracking, not raw speed.
And what about the big philosophical battle? Wired versus wireless.
You know, that battle is mostly over. Wired is still the king for absolute zero compromise latency. Pro players still swear by it.
But wireless has caught up.
It really has. Modern wireless tech is so good, it's practically indistinguishable from wired for most people. The choice now is more about, do you hate cable drag or do you want total freedom of movement?
And the science goes even deeper, down to the feet of the mouse.
The glides, yeah.
Yeah.
They're usually made of PTFE or Teflon.
Yeah.
It's all about reducing friction for a smoother movement across the mouse pad.
Okay, let's jump over to the keyboard. What makes a keyboard a gaming keyboard, other than, a ton of flashing lights?
High durability and instant key activation. That's it. And while you can game on a standard membrane keyboard, the sources all point to the superiority of mechanical keyboards.
Because they have that distinct key travel, that precision.
And instant reaction time. Plus, let's talk about a couple of key terms. First, anti-ghosting.
Right, that's crucial.
It's so important. If you press a bunch of keys at once, like run, jump, and reload,
A normal keyboard might miss one of those inputs.
that's ghosting. A gaming keyboard makes sure every single key press, no matter how many you hit at once, is registered instantly.
And what about stabilizers? I see that mentioned.
Stabilizers are the little mechanisms under the big keys, like the space bar or shift key. They stop the key from wobbling if you press it on the edge instead of the center.
So it feels consistent no matter where you hit it.
A consistent, predictable press every time. You don't want to miss a jump because you hit the wrong side of the space bar.
Okay, this brings up the big, overwhelming question. How do you pick the right switch?
It really comes down to a personal preference for sound and feel and what games you play. The guide gives us 3 simple paths.
Okay.
For fast-paced FPS games where reaction time is everything, you probably want a linear switch. It's a smooth, quiet press with no bump, just pure speed.
And for people who want more feedback.
You have 2 options. A clicky switch gives you a loud, clear, audible click when it activates. Great for typing, but maybe a little annoying for competitive play.
I can imagine.
The perfect middle ground for many is the tactile switch. You get a physical bump, you can feel when the key registers, but without the loud noise, the confirmation.
Ah, so it's great for MOBAs or RPGs where you need to know an ability fired before you hit the next one.
Precisely. And then, of course, you have other features like being able to create macros, which is vital for MMO players.
Right, binding a complex rotation to one key.
And even the material of the keyboard body itself.
Yeah.
A solid aluminum frame won't flex or slide around your desk during an intense moment.
All right, let's completely shift our perspective. We've been talking about component-level details, cooling towers, mechanical switches.
Deep in the weeds.
Now we're jumping to the mobile world, where gamers are not worried about AIO coolers. They're worried about touch feeling and comfort.
It's a total paradigm shift. You go from maximizing internal hardware to maximizing the external human device interaction. It's all about ergonomics and touch quality.
So what's the first accessory a serious mobile gamer should get?
The first line of defense is visibility and consistency. And that means matte tempered glass for the screen.
Matte, not glossy.
It cuts down on glare, which is huge. But more importantly, it reduces the friction and drag you get from sweaty or oily fingers. It makes your gestures smooth and consistent.
And then for actual input, you're not plugging in a keyboard. You're using other things.
You're using specialized accessories,
Yeah.
We talked about triggers and grips. Triggers are little clips that go on top of the phone and give you physical mechanical buttons for things like aiming or shooting.
So it moves those controls off the screen itself.
Frees up your screen real estate.
Yeah.
And makes your reaction time way faster. It feels more like using a console controller.
And the grips themselves, they're not just for holding the phone.
No, this is the direct mobile version of a laptop cooling pad. A lot of these grips now have built-in fans or even little thermal cooling chips that pull heat directly off the back of the phone.
That's a huge deal for throttling.
It basically eliminates it. Your hands aren't heating up the phone, and the fan is actively cooling it. It's a game changer.
What about those little finger sleeves I see people using?
They're getting super popular. They're made of this conductive, low-friction fiber. It just ensures your touch is registered perfectly every single time, even if your hands get a little sweaty. It optimizes that connection between your skin and the screen.
And then you have the basics. A stable desktop stand, a big power bank, and good headphones.
And that ergonomic point is key. The source really stresses that just changing the angle of the phone with a stand makes a huge difference for wrist strain and comfort over long sessions.
So when you boil it all down, what does it mean? It seems like comfort is the universal key to performance no matter the platform.
It's the baseline. If you're physically fatigued, you're going to play worse, period.
So let's run down the ergonomic checklist for PC and laptop players.
Okay, 4 crucial things. First, get your screen height right. The top of the monitor should be about eye level to keep your neck straight.
Got it.
Second, use a high-quality mouse pad and consider gel wrist supports to reduce long-term strain. Third, make sure your setup is stable.
No wobbly desks.
No wobbly desks, no shaky chairs. And fourth, and we have to repeat this, clean your gear. Dust clogs up fans in your PC and your cooling pad, and it silently kills your performance.
And for mobile ergonomics, it's really simple.
Super simple. Get the phone angle right with the stand, use a grip to hold it comfortably, and use one of those cooling solutions to keep the heat off your hands and out of the device.
So the core distinction is clear. PC is about stabilizing the internal components with cooling and precision inputs.
Right.
And mobile is all about stabilizing the external setup, using these clever tools to change how you physically interact with the device.
That's the perfect summary. One is an internal focus, the other is an external one.
We've covered a ton of ground here, from thermal paste to finger sleeves.
And that brings us to a final provocative thought for you to think about.
Okay.
If peak gaming performance really just hinges on 2 things, minimizing latency and stabilizing temperature, and those jobs are now largely handled by external accessories.
Like low latency wireless mice, high airflow cooling pads, precision mechanical switches, mobile cooling grips.
Are those external accessories now just as essential, maybe even more essential, to your in-game performance than the actual CPU or GPU inside the box?
That's a really interesting way to look at it. It completely changes how we define a high-performance system. Something to chew on. Thank you for joining us on the deep dive.
My pleasure.
Now go apply this knowledge and get those quick performance gains.